Becky Pringle has just been elected president-elect of the National Education Association. You are going to be a phenomenal president of the NEA. It's been an honor for me to serve, but part of that honor was serving with you as my vice president. You took on everything I asked you to do. Racial justice in education. You took on making sure our babies had everything they needed, no matter what zip code they lived in. You took on professionalism, trusting us as the professionals who know what we're doing. And now, on September 1, you're going to be president of the NEA. And I'm going to slide off into something called retirement, whatever that is. I thought it was challenging when I took over being president. We lived under No Child Left Untested, and we took that on. What do you see as the main challenges that are going to face you?
There's just no question that the challenges abound. We've had challenges for as long as I've been teaching, but especially in the last 2 decades as our public education system suffered from the disinvestment in public education. And so here we are in the midst of what I've been describing as a twin pandemic. The coronavirus hit almost immediately. Our school buildings were closed. The learning continued, but our school buildings were closed. I think about the challenges that face us now, and I know that we're ready, but we have to face them. And this is also a challenge. Lily, we have such an aspirational vision here at the NEA, the largest labor union in this country. And we have to figure out how we continue to focus on that, even as we deal with this current reality of the pandemic and its impact on schools and students and communities. The light that's shining on the inequities that have existed forever. And as we as a country come to this day of reckoning around institutional and structural racism that we saw on full display with the brutal murder of George Floyd and so many others, as we as a union talked about how it was imperative that we proactively say that Black Lives Matter, centering our work in that reality so that we understood how important it was for our students and our communities to know that we finally were seeing their humanity, and we're going to do everything they could so that every one of our students could live into their brilliance. And so those are challenges that are huge for us. They are absolutely daunting, but Lily, we're ready.
You just mentioned a whole lot of things that we're dealing with right now in terms of challenges. When I was president, first elected 6 years ago, and people said, where's your focus going to be? I mean, there's a lot of things you got to do every day, and you're going to have to do them. But the main thing you get up saying, I'm not going to let this one fall through the cracks. For me, it was high stakes testing. That was destroying teaching and learning. For you, what's it going to be?
Our focus will be on leading a movement to reclaim public education as a common good. And I say that because we know, and throughout this pandemic, we know how much Betsy DeVos and her ilk are ratcheting up the privatization of everything. And so we have to fight. We have to fight to reclaim public education as a common good, and as well as being the foundation of this democracy. And then we have to transform it. We do have to do that into a racial and socially just system that is actually designed, because initially public education wasn't designed to be equitable, right? It was to privilege some. So we have to transform it so that it's designed to prepare every single student, everyone, to succeed in this diverse and interdependent world. So that's I'm framing everything from that. We of course have to address this current reality of the pandemic. We're done with that conversation about whether we're reopening schools. We already have evidence. We already have schools that have reopened and closed. We already have schools that opened and students are sick and parents are sick and educators are sick. And so we know that we are going to be faced with educating our students in an environment that is not the optimal, where they are in school buildings. And so as educators, we have to step up and we have to improve the teaching and learning for our students in this digital world. And we, NEA, have to lead in that space. But first, we have to make sure they are safe. So we're focused on leading through this pandemic. And then the last thing I'll say, Lily, is something I think you might know. We need a new president. So I was so excited to see that our delegates to the convention, who have the power to decide whether NEA endorses a candidate for president, overwhelmingly said, oh yes, not only do we need to end this national nightmare of Donald Trump and Betsy DeVos, but we actually need to elect Joe Biden, someone who not only believes in public education, but someone who has a vision.
What motivated you to want to do this very tough, very hard, sometimes thankless work?
You know, I will always be that Black girl from North Philly who grew up in poverty and often didn't know whether we were going to be able to stay in our homes, our home another month. But had instilled in me a sense of pride and responsibility from the very, very beginning, from my mother and my father. And when I told my dad I wanted to become a teacher, he was not happy. But I, had this passion that I wanted to teach the children. That's what I wanted to do. And then when I started doing that, I realized, I have to concern myself with the students beyond the confines of my own classroom. And where could I get that kind of power and strength to actually change what was happening for them? And I went to my union, and that became the journey that I took when I realized the power of collective action. And my union president at the time tapped into my passion, which was racial justice. And that's what I have focused on for my entire leadership career. I saw this as an opportunity to continue to harness the incredible power, strength, brilliance of the largest labor union in this country, and to actually be able to bring to bear the force of the partnerships that we have in the civil rights organizations, other education stakeholders, now healthcare professionals. We're partnering with everybody now, to actually make real what I said, that every student, every single one, has what they need so they are prepared to succeed in this world. And that's what made me run to it. And by the way, Lily, I'm not alone. I know that. And so I know that we as a union are ready. We are ready to claim our leadership in this movement.
You are going to have a phenomenal team. I know them all well.
Yes.
And that is our governance, our staff, our board of directors, our affiliate leaders. You aren't going to be in this alone. I wasn't alone one day of my journey through this. But through it all, I had my best friend.
Yes.
And vice president. I love you, my dear.
I love you too.
Inspire me. And people who don't get to know the NEA president personally may never know what a phenomenal woman. I don't say NEA president or leader, what a phenomenal human being you are, but I do know that. And this world could not be in better hands. This work takes great heart. And you have that heart. And I am so proud to have been a part of your team. So I want to thank everybody for watching us cry, because that's fun. We are all human beings, and we love someone else's child. And we love this country enough to fight for what it is supposed to become. And that's the mission of the National Education Association in so many words. It's what we do. It's what you're going to eat for breakfast, is pushing this world to become what it is supposed to be. So God bless you, Becky Pringle, NEA president. So proud of you. Thank you.